So this is going to be our second painting exercise where we are going to paint accurately some flat colors, which involves some more mixing exercises. We're going to blend from a darker color to a lighter color, and then we're going to do a strip of blending between different colors. So we're going to start off painting blue and lighter blue, green and lighter green. The outside blue we paint is we're going to use the ultramarine blue, which we used for our triangle and splodge painting exercise, but we're going to try and show progress that we've painted this a neater, flatter color and more accurately. Again, I've got my two brushes from the art pack, and I'm going to just work with the smaller, finer brush. I've also got some tissue paper, half a pot of cold water, and some test color. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up the color. These paints haven't been used for a little while, so the paints are very dry. So they might take a bit more mixing, going round and round. And when you've painted for a while, you'll start to recognize when the paint is correct. And when you test it, you know it's going to be quite close to being correct. So the other thing is if you need to mix up a bit more paint, obviously you need a bit more water. So I'm only going to put my paintbrush in the water a little bit, a couple of millimeters, to be able to mix up more paint. Remember to twist your brush into a point, nice and sharp, and then we are going to paint the outside section in nice, bold, accurate blue. So carrying on mixing more paint, painting over the sections we've already done, making certain, looking at that and thinking perhaps it could be a bit thicker. Now, remember what we said, when you're trying to paint this area, instead of twisting my hand around to try to paint up the line, I'm going to try to turn paper around, mix a bit of paint, check the color, painting over the bits I've already done to make a flat color. Again, twisting the brush into a point so I can get carefully into the corners. And then some people like to paint up to the line using the tip of the brush like that. Some people like to get the brush quite flat and drag it nice and slow. You need an incredibly steady hand, and then instead of just going back and forth with the brush like that, you draw a nice straight line with the brush. And if we just do the same technique again, so put the brush down very carefully, very steady hand, paint a nice straight. Oops, be careful, don't try to rush. Paint a nice straight line, carefully get into the corners, and then carry on blending over the bits you've already painted to get a flat color. Turn it around again. painting over the bits I've already painted just to create a nice flat color. That's pretty good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint the inside blue section. So now we're going to mix blue with some white to make it lighter. The paint isn't going to be more watery, it's just going to be light. I could lighten the blue by adding white, or I could lighten it by adding more water. On this occasion, we're going to lighten it by adding more white rather than water. So you'll notice these paints have two whites. This is a white lots of boys use to mix colors on. This white they don't mix any color on, they keep it as a clean white. So I'm going to take my blue, I'm going to mix it on top of the white. Tiny bit more water, again, only a little bit more, so I'm only dipping my brush in a few millimeters. So you can see, testing my color. I know that looks a bit too watery on there, so I need to go round and round a few more times. It starts to look quite creamy, and sometimes it looks like it's got a few sort of bubbles in it, which sometimes makes it look like it's right. So I'm going to check my color is light. How light do you do the blue? It's up to you, but as long as when you do the blue, it looks lighter than the section you've already done, that's fine. So again, I'm going to paint the outside version very accurately. My brush is starting to run out of paint, as you can see, so a little bit more water, a bit more white. I think that's getting a bit lighter, so I'm going to add a bit more blue to it. Test my color, looks about right, but to make certain it's going to be right, I'm going to blend over the paint I've already painted. Again, just twisted my brush so I can get a nice neat part getting in to the corners. Painting over the sections I've already done. And then lastly, do this outside. Tiny bit more paint, my brush is drying up. And then blend over. So that's the outside blue. It's not perfect, but I'm happy with that for this.